guys, Kelli Stewart here, live from the courthouse. Blaine Cooper's been on the stand for about an hour. Wait for a few people to come on. I'm gonna bundle up a little bit. It's kind of cold out here right now. Brand, maybe you could go ahead and if you guys can tag a few people for me. It's cold. Blaine Cooper's been on the stand for about an hour. He started out his testimony by sharing about his family and how he wants to get home to his children, and he doesn't look good. These men are being absolutely abused in these jails. They're being denied bail so they can't adequately prepare. Blaine did a step-by-step breakdown explaining that on December 29th, BJ Soper, Joe O'Shaughnessy, Ammon Bundy, Jason Patrick, John Ritzheimer, and him, maybe one or two other people, met at a woman named Patty's house and had a private meeting. Sarah, we need you here. He said in that meeting that Ammon Bundy presented the option to take over the wildlife refuge and that everybody was in agreement except for BJ Soper and Joe O'Shaughnessy, but Joe O'Shaughnessy said he would support it anyway. He then did a step-by-step breakdown of what it would look like to take over the wildlife refuge, what they would do if employees wanted to come, how they would use their arms and remove them. He's drawing on a map who went where, who was at the refuge first. He's breaking down individuals, what weapons they had. He said that Jason Patrick had an, I don't know the name, but it's the 47, AR-47, no, AK-47, that everybody else had AR-15s, and they're painting a beautiful picture that the conspiracy is what the government says it was. The story that he is telling is scary and shows that beforehand he said over and over Ammon Bundy was the leader. Ammon Bundy asked him to record. Ammon Bundy asked him to get the message out to all militia and patriots on December 29th to show up in Burns on January 2nd. He said that Mel Bundy and Brand were also there from the beginning. He described the weapon that Mel Bundy had. He's drawing a lot of attention to Jason Patrick. That Jason Patrick was present at the meeting where they all agreed on December 29th that they would go and occupy the wildlife refuge and that they would use arms to keep employees from coming. He did at the beginning start by saying that that he did this for his country and for the Hammonds, but that he wants to get home to his children, and that his children cry to him every day. And my heart breaks for him for the position he's been put in, because these men have been held in jail now for over a year and they just want to go home. But what he doesn't realize is that the false information that he's giving on that stand could potentially put these next four, or at least Jason Patrick, who he has stated was there at the meeting where they planned to take over the refuge on December 29th, that Jason Patrick could be found guilty of conspiracy to impede using force, threats, or intimidation which means they can also find him guilty of carrying a weapon on a federal facility. The whole system is a mess. The abuse that these people have endured is awful. The fact that the American people have let it get this far is awful. I have no desire to continue reporting things. Blaine was a reporter. He said he wanted to use his title as a public figure to get the message out and to wake the masses up. And that he had a great following. He had a huge following. And yet after all the things that he's done, how many people have woken up? And who is here standing? And who is holding not just the elected officials accountable, but the judges, the police that are holding them in custody, that most of you guys will not speak out against and hold them accountable? The officers here, they say, we don't know what's going on. We don't know who is found guilty and not guilty. That's not our business. My job is to come and do what I'm told. Do you guys understand how dangerous a nation becomes with a military force and the militarized police like we have, when none of them will use their God-given brains and the moral obligation that they've been given to protect the people? When they won't use those things, do you even understand how dangerous of a government you are in and under right now? Blaine Cooper looks awful. He looks scared. He's giving step by step every little secret and detail that he's ever been privy to, staring Lisa and Angie Bundy in the eye, saying, Ammon Bundy, Jason Patrick, naming anybody and everybody that they're asking him to name. We need God's intervention. We need people. But if Blaine Cooper, who he went through and explained what he experienced at Sugar Pine Mine, every single person who was with him at Sugar Pine Mine, every single person who was with him at Bunkerville, he is testifying in Bunkerville. He said on the stand, he is testifying in Bunkerville. He's pled guilty to conspiracy in Bunkerville. He's pled guilty to using force to bring harm to federal agents. And he's testifying just how he and the others did that. Yeah, we can blame him. I mean, he's definitely the one sitting up there running his mouth right now, saving his own neck so that his brothers end up spending more time and he gets to possibly go home sooner. But in the end, if that's what you're going to do, why start from the beginning? But at the same time, what responsibility do each one of us carry, who turn our heads and go on vacations and ignore the prisoners, the people sitting in jail wrongfully? Ignore that. Shake hands with the police officers and U.S. Marshals who are holding them wrongfully. Continue voting for the elected officials that turn the blind eye and do nothing. I don't know what the answer is at this point. All I know is that the men who stood with Blaine Cooper do not deserve what he is in there testifying to right now. I listened to an hour of it and had to walk out. You can only hear somebody going through detail by detail and saying maybe some of it is true and maybe some of it's not. He gave away the woman's house who took him in, where he slept in her house. How many weapons were there? Who stayed there with him? Then they showed videos that they did of their call to action and said that call to action that he and Joe Shaughnessy and John Ritzheimer and Jason Patrick did, he said that was right after the meeting where they agreed that they would go and take over the refuge on December 29th. Who needs informants when the government can beat up the people and make them turn on each other? This is our government. This is the United States of America right now. To every one of you, he is being a snitch, Preston, but can you understand what he has endured for the last 12 months? Can you understand that the officers that are holding him in jail are responsible for the way he looks right now? He looks awful. He's a snitch, but what are you? How are you fighting the good fight? We all have to take responsibility for what these individuals are going through. We have to take responsibility for turning a blind eye to these jails. And for not walking up to every single U.S. Marshal, police officer, security guard, federal agent and saying, why are you not doing your job? Why are you not protecting the American people from a tyrannical government? Why? And all of you sit there and you want to shake hands with every single person. I don't care if it's the elected official you're happy with or the police officer that keeps them in shackles, the U.S. Marshal who transfers them around. Every one of them have abdicated their roles. Every one of them. Every one of them have surrendered their responsibilities to protect the American people. And that's why we have somebody right now sitting on the stand saying the things that he is saying, calling these people out by name. Do you know that in over an hour there was one objection by Jason Patrick's attorney? One. They let him explain every detail about Sugar Mine Pine, every detail about Bunkerville. It had nothing to do. They should have all been on their feet objecting for relevance. Objecting for leading. That prosecuting attorney Barrows was leading time and time and time and time again. Not one of them got on their feet. All of them in there sit here bad-mouthing Mumford because of his bad behavior in the courtroom. He would have been all over that courtroom just now objecting, making Blaine be quiet with his lies. Every one of those court-appointed attorneys are sitting, letting a false narrative be told. And they still collect their paycheck at the end of the day. Every one of them need to be asked, why weren't you on your feet objecting? Why were you just sitting there, letting them go into detail about what guns were at Sugar Pine Mine? That has nothing to do with the four that are sitting here right now. But they didn't. Every guard, every officer that checks us in, that says, just doing my job, I don't know nothing about nothing. Well, really, you have a gun. That scares me that you don't know anything about anything. Tells me all you need is one person ahead of you telling you that we're bad, and you're going to believe that we're bad. And you're going to think that you're not held accountable because you're just doing your job. This is ridiculous, you guys. This is awful. I don't want to keep reporting. Why? Why keep reporting? Sitting here listening to this right now? Nobody can be trusted. Nobody stands. Nobody unites. Everybody wants to fight about all their stupid little factions, but you claim you defend the United States Constitution? BS. If you defend the United States Constitution, every single officer, every single elected official, you'd be at their doorstep saying, enough. Everybody's too busy for that. Well, guess what? Those guys in there right now are being hung out to dry. And they need God to save them from the things that Blaine Cooper just said on the stand. And I pray God saves Blaine Cooper too, because he's been abused for over a year now, and he just wants to get home from his family, and he sees what's going on out here. Be at peace, Gavin. Be at peace. Sit in these court hearings day after day. Sit here and listen to the people. Continue to praise these officers. Say they're just doing their job. That's a lie. Their job is to protect the American people. They're not doing their job. Quit telling me they're doing their job. They're doing their job. Then when are you going to do your job as an American citizen and show up at their offices and tell them to knock it off? It doesn't matter. The numbers don't show up. The people don't care. You need my eyes and ears. Why? Blaine was the eyes and ears. Look what they've done to him for the last year. Look at how he's been abused. None of the officers holding him in custody have set him free. Everybody's just doing their job. Shame on all of us. Yes, I am live streaming, Lisa. I'm outside. I'll come back in. Sorry, I'm getting texts. John, you'll have to go back and watch the live stream and see what's being testified to. We're on break now, so I'm going to go back in. I don't even know. I'm so sick of all of this. I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean, all year I've held it against people when they've pled out because I felt like, why didn't you stand? But looking in Blaine Cooper's eyes and seeing his fear, seeing his skin color, seeing how skinny he is, seeing how sick he looks, Shame on us as Americans for letting our jails treat people that way. Shame on us for justifying it. Shame on us for shaking hands with the very people who are holding him hostage. Shame on us. It's time to do something, you guys. It's time to take a stand and be principled, but take a stand. Hey guys, Kelli Stewart here, live from the courthouse. Blaine Cooper's been on the stand for about an hour. Wait for a few people to come on. I'm gonna bundle up a little bit. It's kind of cold out here right now. Brand, maybe you could go ahead and if you guys can tag a few people for me. Arms and remove them. He's drawing on a map who went where, who was at the refuge first. He's breaking down individuals, what weapons they had. He said that Jason Patrick had an, I don't know the name, but it's the 47, AR-47, no, AK-47, that everybody else had AR-15. It's cold. Blaine Cooper's been on the stand for about an hour. He started out his testimony by sharing about his family and how he wants to get home to his children, and he doesn't look good. These men are being absolutely abused in these jails. They're being denied bail so they can't adequately prepare. Blaine did a step-by-step breakdown explaining that on December 29th, BJ Soper, Joe O'Shaughnessy, Ammon Bundy, Jason Patrick, John Ritzheimer, and him, maybe one or two other people, met at a woman named Patty's house and had a private meeting. Sarah, we need you here. He said in that meeting that Ammon Bundy presented the option to take over the wildlife refuge and that everybody was in agreement except for BJ Soper and Joe O'Shaughnessy, but Joe O'Shaughnessy said he would support it anyway. He then did a step-by-step breakdown of what it would look like to take over the wildlife refuge, what they would do if employees wanted to come, how they would use their